All-American tight end, Super Bowl champion, Ravens radio broadcaster, Dennis Pitta. Dennis, welcome back to the show. Happy Friday.
Cheers, guys. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Did you just say cheers?
How was
since you came back from London?
How was London, man?
That was a really nice segue into London, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely it was. I mean, other than the Ravens kind of getting blown out, not kind of, but getting blown out, how was London?
Yeah, so London was good. You know, we got to see all the sights. We had a really good time, and then we got to the game, and it all went downhill from there. We lost 44-7, so it was fun, and then it was a really long plane ride home.
Yeah, yeah.
Good time.
What's the best and toughest part about getting into the live broadcast booth for you?
Well, you know, there's been challenges. I mean, as you guys would know, it's difficult. It's way more difficult than people think. And to have good content through the course of 4 quarters is not easy, and especially when you're trying to call a game where it's 44-0 in the third quarter. What do you talk about for a quarter and a half, you know, when they're just trying to run out the clock and everybody's trying to get out of there? So blowout wins are not easy to call. I think when you have a close game all the way to the end, those are the ones that are the easiest. But unfortunately, I haven't got any of those yet. So we're hoping to see that this week when we have our big rival, the Steelers, come into town. So
yes, one of the great NFL rivalries. Also, it's probably weird to assess what your buddies are doing on the field, right? If it's a bad play and you're like, oh, man, that was a bad play, but I don't even want to say their name.
Like, are you calling out Joe Flacco, your friend?
You know, I've been pretty easy on Joe Flacco. But you have to kind of walk, a tight little line there as far as how critical you can be. I mean, these were guys that I was playing with just a couple of months ago and in the locker room with and still really good friends. And so, fortunately, they're playing and not really listening to my broadcast, so I can say most, you know, what I want to say, but, you know, you do have to kind of be careful.
Absolutely. Dennis Pitta with us on BYU Sports Nation.
And BYU's got to be careful tonight. This is a big game with Utah State, and feels almost weird to say BYU, Utah State, and big game in the same sentence, but here we are. BYU's 1-3. They're in Logan. This is a really important game. If BYU loses this, they're in some real trouble. What kind of context do you see going into this game for BYU on the season?
Well, I think this is their season. I think if you lose tonight and you go 1-4 through, you know, these first 5 weeks of the season, I mean, that is difficult to rebound from, especially, you know, we have excuses over the last few weeks. We've played ranked Power 5 conference teams, really good teams. What's your excuse after this game? Maybe it's just, you know, we're not very good. I think that's the reality that would set in if you lose to Utah State. Now, I know Utah State is a little bit better this year than they have been in years past. Offensively, they're more dynamic and do a lot of cool things, and you know, with RPOs and short passes and all that kind of stuff. But this is a game where you have to win if you're BYU. You have to be more physical up front. You have better linemen, or should, than Utah State. You have to be able to run the ball. You have to be able to stop the run. And so this is one of those games where if you don't win, I mean, what do you really have to look forward to as the season continues?
Who needs to win this game more, Dennis, BYU or Utah State?
Well, I mean, I'm going to say BYU because, you know, I don't have any ties with Utah State, obviously, and I could care less if they win or lose, right? I'd love to win. And because this is an important game for our season, you can't go 1-4 and have a loss to Utah State. I mean, it's bad enough that we've already lost to Utah. I understand some of the other losses, but, you know, losing to Utah and Utah State in the first 5 weeks of the season, I mean, getting 1-4, can it get any worse for this team at that point? I don't think so.
Kalani Sitake on Tuesday said offensively it can't get much worse, and we hope that the offense shows up tonight and shows some improvement. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like, although I think Bronco Mendenhall's 24-plus number would be a good number for the offense. What do you think would be improvement for the BYUO tonight?
Well, I mean, any signs of life, I think, would be an improvement, right? You know, we're dead last in offense, and you know that's so atypical of a BYU offense, and so I think we're all kind of taken aback by that. But I just think offensively, you have to be able to establish the run, and especially in a game like this, we should be able to dominate the trenches. We have the people to do it. we should have better talent than them in the trenches. Can we play physical enough? Can we establish a run? Because if we're able to do that, everything else is so much easier than in this offense. And Ty Detmer's system, if you can't run the ball, it makes things very, very difficult. And listen, with the backup quarterback still starting in this game, I think if you can't run the ball, it's going to be tough to move the ball even against the Utah State. So we'll see. I expect them to be able to run the ball well. Let's see if that comes to fruition.
BYU opened as a 6.5-point favorite in this rivalry game. It is all the way down to BYU by 1. In fact, some other sites have it as a pick'em game. What kind of game do you anticipate in terms of a differential when all is said and done between BYU and Utah State?
Well, honestly, I think it will be a close game. Logan is a difficult place to play, but I have a tough time calling this a rivalry game. I mean, you guys have referred to that as a rivalry game a lot.
We're just trying to be nice.
I know. It's kind of like Jerem and I's relationship. Like, I'm his best friend, but he's not my best friend. One of those things. So I think the rivalry is more important to them than it is to us. I mean, you have the old wagon wheel.
Oh, yeah.
That wagon wheel sat in our locker room for, 3 years before I even knew what it was.
Oh, boy.
And, I passed by it every day. By the time I actually found out what it was right by my locker room my senior year. I used to just hang my dirty clothes on it, just because I needed extra space.
Are you serious right now?
I'm serious. That's how little we value the wagon wheel. It was just always there. We didn't even know really what it was. So when you talk about rivalry, I mean, over the since 1975, we've dominated, 31-5 against Utah State. I don't consider that a rival, to be honest. But, this game will be close. And I know I went a little hard on Utah State right there.
You can't even say it without laughing.
Talking about my abuse of the wagon wheel.
The scores aren't even updated on it from 2014, 15, 16. I think they did that
goodness.
Wednesday. Also, I was never invited to bocce ball. I think that's where our friendship could have started earlier.
Are you a bocce player?
Yeah, dude. I was in school at the same time you were. I was never invited to the IPF at 9 p.m. on a Thursday night.
Yeah, there were reasons why you weren't invited. And
I'm gathering as much.
You now, but yeah.
Dennis, I'm not sure how we top what just happened on the show, but we're going to try. What are your top memories from the BYU-Utah State not rivalry?
Can't wait for this.
the non-rival. All right, so I think it was 2008. My junior year. I think we played Utah State the 4th or 5th game of the season.
Okay.
And it was in Logan. And we had just come off 2 huge wins. We beat UCLA 59-0. I think we beat Wyoming 44-0. I mean, we were on a roll. We go out to Logan, and we really didn't play our best football. I mean, it is a tough atmosphere to play in. It's not the biggest stadium, but, their fans hate us, and we heard all about it. And so it was kind of an ugly game, but we were up 34-14, I think. So we were up by 20. The game was out of hand. It was the 4th quarter, and the Utah State crowd, all they were chanting was overrated the whole 4th quarter. And it's like, you look around like, guys, we're up by 20, okay? We just scored 34 points. I know this isn't our best performance. It's not 59-0, but get over it, okay? You're not our rival.
I was there, and I remember thinking, wow, this is the state of, where this is at. Yet, BYU, so the fact that Utah State hasn't won a ton hasn't been the point. It's the fact that they've actually been some good games recently, and it helps that, Robert Turbin and Bobby Wagner and other guys that are in the NFL have been in that rivalry and helped in that. Some injuries to one Taysom Hill didn't help either. But what do you actually expect tonight? How do you actually expect tonight's game to play out?
Honestly, I do expect it to be a close game. I mean, we're coming off a bye. I think it takes a little bit of an adjustment getting back into playing form after a bye. And they're going to be fired up. They'll have their home crowd behind them. They certainly think that they can win this game, so they'll have a lot of confidence going into it. I don't know where our mental state will be, how good we think we are or what we'll be able to do in this game. But it will be close. I do think we'll be able to come out on top. But and like you mentioned, I've been a little hard on this rivalry, Utah State and BYU. But over the last, few years, it has generated a lot of close games. We've lost a couple times. I think, 2010 and 2014.
Yeah.
We actually lost to them. So, it'll be a fun game and a ton of energy. And then we'll be able to pull out a win, and I'll enjoy conference over the weekend, right?
Absolutely. Dennis, let's have you put your Ravens broadcaster hat on just for a moment before we say goodbye and get an update on Bronson Kafusi. Where is he at in terms of getting more reps with the Ravens and recent injuries along the defensive line as they take on heated rival Pittsburgh? A real rivalry.
A real rivalry. Thank you. Listen, Bronson's going to play a lot in this game, and I actually think he will start this game.
Wow.
He has not played a snap, in a regular season game his entire career. He was hurt all last year, then has been inactive through the first 3 weeks. But our starting defensive end, who was playing in front of him, just suffered a Liz Frank injury, so he'll be out, and Bronson will step right in. Bronson's going to have to play a lot on Sunday, and he's going to be asked to do a lot. So I'm excited for him. I think he's going to play great, and the keys to the franchise are turned over to him, so to speak, for this game, and he's got a lot on his shoulders.
Dennis, thank you for sharing the stories of the old wagon wheel. You have forever changed our lives.
Yeah, and I regret touching it now.